All right, Patrick, we're going to wrap up here with the Texas Children's Houston Open this week. Memorial Park, one of the great golf courses on the PGA Tour. Kind of a sneaky great field again. I felt like we said that last week about the Valspar. We got Rory and Scotty in the field this week. You looking forward to Houston?
How can you not? I think last year was a great event. There were so many guys coming down the stretch there. When Jaeger won, you had the toasty Tony Finau kerfuffle, them going at each other a
That's
little
right. I
bit. I don't
forgot
know if
about
you remember
that.
that. The Astros mascot in the press center next to Monahan when he was talking also. So it was a great 2024 tournament. And when you got the top two players in the world in 2025, how can it not follow up that, I think?
Yeah, it feels like a golf course that's a great test. I kind of feel like this run has been like that. I mean, you think about Bay Hill always tough, players always tough. Depending on if it's soft or not. I mean, these guys can rip it up when it's soft, but it can play tough, especially when the winds get up. Valspar always tough, and then Houston is tough as well. I feel like it's great prep in terms of going to Augusta National. I mean, Phil was famous always for playing Houston the week before the Masters, kind of in his prime. But it just like you want to go out there and play a golf course that's going to beat you up a bit because that tests the best parts of your game. I mean, it's long, you've got to hit it straight, you kind of got to put it in the right place, and it tests the short game. I feel like if you're a real quote unquote contender at Augusta National, you should add this on the schedule.
I totally agree, especially with some of the short game shots that you're going to be faced with this week. There's some tight runoff areas where you got to be really finite and precise with your wedge shots. And I look back when they moved to Memorial Park. I think it was in 2021. It was in the fall that year, but right before the Masters, also just because of what was going on and everything. Or no, it wasn't. But DJ's played well here also. Matsuyama's played well here. Brooks has played well here. He was a what was it, a golf course player consultant for
Yep.
this one. And then obviously you have Scheffler, who's had a great run of form here, but without a win. And so I totally agree. I think it's just such a good prep, and the cadence is great where you can play this week, take next week to figure everything else out, and then be ready for Augusta National.
I think it's easy to forget too that like Scotty was a putt away last year of winning this as
Hmm.
well. It's like
Yeah.
we talk so much about the wins from Scotty, and a lot of them went his way, but there was a couple that didn't, and this was one of them. It felt like as you were watching the last three holes, you're like, all right, well, he's going to win again. The form was there, and obviously the play was there. I think Scotty needs a good week. I mean, it's silly to say that, but obviously he hadn't played that great this year in terms of comparisons to Scotty Scheffler the last 3 years. I think this is a really important week for Scotty. I don't necessarily think he needs to win, but I think it'd be nice to see him putt well, maybe start to drive the golf ball a little bit better. That's been the one thing to me that hadn't quite been there this season for Scotty, kind of missing it in some different areas that we haven't seen him miss it in. So I feel like for Scotty, as he's looking to Augusta, this has got to be a week. He's like, I need to go in with like the mentality that this is the Masters.
Yeah, I think a good week is not required, but would be nice to see, right? And we talked about the left misses with JT. That's been the weird thing that has creeped into the bag for Scotty Scheffler
Every
across the
miss is
first.
left. It's so
Yes,
weird.
and he has been so good at eliminating that
Yep.
side of the golf course the last handful of years. So that's the one thing I'm looking at this week. I know the short misses really hindered him in this tournament last year. I think this is where the run of under par rounds came to an end. Shane, on Friday, he missed like a 2 footer.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, and then
Or he
lo and
putted from
behold,
5 feet or something, right?
yeah, it was horrible. And then lo and behold, on Sunday, he misses a 5 footer to force a playoff with Jaeger. So maybe sure up from that 3 to 6 feet range, because even though his putting generally has been better, that range is still not very good. And then take away the left miss, and I'll be a happy camper with Scotty Scheffler.
All right, so we'll do can win, can't win now. I'll lead us off on can win. I'm going to put Scotty on that list. I think Scotty Scheffler can win in Houston. I don't know if you can believe that or not. I know that's a bit shocking. I've got Steven Yeager there as well.
Oh,
Obviously, somebody that has played well on this golf course before and won last year. Has had some solid finishes this season here and there, and I feel like Steven Yeager is just somebody I'm going to put on the list and see what he can do. Kind of one of those guys that like plays. It feels like he plays tough non-major golf courses well. So I have Yeager there. And I'm going to keep putting Michael Kim on my can win list until he wins. So those are
sure.
my three.
Okay. I kind of have a different list. I have a will win, and that is Scotty Scheffler.
Okay, well, it almost needs to change. Like it needs to be will win Scotty and then
Yeah.
might finish second.
But so can wins. Scheffler definitely tops that list. I will say I think Rory McIlroy can win just because he has been the king of peaking a hair too soon during this decade of major droughtage. You look, Shane. I was looking at all his returns to previous sites of where he won majors. So you think about Kiowa, and he has won in his final start before Kiowa, Valhalla, and Liverpool. He
Wow.
won in the final before all those tournaments. So king of peaking too soon. Would not be surprised if he can win. And then I'm going to go down the list a little bit. I think Maverick McNeely
Okay.
can win this week. I like what he's doing with Scotty Ham, hitting little fluttery cuts out there. And I know the Florida swing wasn't what he expected, but coming off a great West Coast swing, I think he gets back on the wagon.
My can't win. I've got Sung Jae on the list. I don't. Sung Jae's played well on certain tough golf courses, but
Yeah.
just feels a little lost right now for Sung Jae. Not great. Another player I feel like is a little lost and had himself in contention really at the Players for a little bit is Minwoo.
Mhm.
Not sure if this is a great Minwoo golf course in my opinion. And then my can't win. My last guy's Rory. Just
Ooh.
simply because I don't think you win the two starts headed in. Now, I know he did that before. And I mean, you mentioned it. I think it was the Open. It was at the PGA of 2014. He won the two previous starts headed into that one. I don't think you want to win the two previous starts headed in. I don't think you want that level of hype. I mean, if you're Rory finishing eighth, I think this week would be great. But
Perfect.
I think in terms of me hoping Rory wins the Masters, I'm going to
Yep.
lean on the can't win just because I think if he goes win at the Players, win in Houston, I don't see three in a row for Rory considering that level of hype that's going to follow that.
Totally fair. You're falling on the sword here for Rory. Very kind of you.
Yes, there you go.
We have some similarities. Sung JM, he's it's just so frustrating, Shane, because he's like this young talent, and you blink and it's like, well, he's not that young anymore, and he
Yep.
hasn't won on the PGA Tour since the Shriners in what was that, 21, 22, something like that. Like so long ago, he's way too good for that. But I agree, his iron play just does not look good right now. His game in general. So went with him. I also went with Wyndham Clark. Just feel Wyndham Clark, it's either going to be a miscut or he's in contention. It
Yep.
feels like one way or another. I'm either going to look smart or very dumb. And then Keith Mitchell also, I don't think he can win. So a bunch of guys who are very talented and have that upside, but just can't seem to get it going right now.
Who is your pick? Who is winning this week? You already
It's
said it, I
Scott.
think.
It's Scotty Scheffler. He's getting it
Yep.
done. We're going to have Rory winning, two tournaments early. Scheffler winning the latest one, headed into Augusta, and Rahm's going to win at Doral. So we get all the big boys feasting.
Kind of need it. I just feel like if Scotty somehow did win this week, the hype had been a little quiet. I think Rory obviously, kind of takes up so much oxygen in the room, but so many of these big names weren't doing a lot. And I think Scotty winning would do a lot in terms of leading up to the Masters, especially since Tiger's not going to be in the field and he obviously takes up a lot of oxygen as well in that world of his. I got Scotty winning as well. My sleeper pick is the guy that played well last week, Ricky Castillo. I think he was last as I looked on the odds list, finished T12 at the Valspar, and that's with not a great final round. One of your favorite looks in all of golf. You love the puka shell necklace that he rocks, and he's been rocking for a few years. But he's been pretty consistent this season. Just missed a couple of cuts really since the Sony. And I mean, he hadn't really done a ton in terms of top tens, but I feel like he's starting to find his form. And just in terms of the odds for Ricky, I like that on a tough golf course.
And look, I know we started this episode with some bad takes a la Victor Hovland, Shane, but you had Bud Colley figured out to a T. Let's not forget about that either. Almost coming down the stretch there on
Sleeper
Sunday.
pick and it was hanging around. He got the interview after. I mean, look
Got
at
the
that
interview.
look, by the way. How can you look cooler?
The
Puka,
perpetual spring breaker.
absolutely unbuttoned shirt. You got the glasses on. I don't think you can add anything else. I think that's all the flair you can rock.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's going to Houston and not PCB this weekend, Shane. I'll tell you that much.
I like that.
My sleeper, also a vibey guy, and I mentioned him already. And this pick's all vibes. I saw what he did at the Players Championship practice round, mind you, and I was hooked. So it's Alejandro Tosti for me.
Toasty baby.
Yeah, just had a chance at this tournament last year. Absolutely pounds the golf ball, which this golf course can let you feast with the driver. So I'm going with Toasty.
Toasty is a great sleeper pick. I always love when Toasty's kind of hanging around and in the hunt. And that's Houston. And then we go Houston. What do we go? San Antonio, and then we're there, right? Is that the lineup?
Then we're there, just like that.